your email address. I got mine electronically.
3 more weeks.
Yeah, baby's away.
I was already on the training.
Attaboy.
What's that all?
Attaboy.
Who? Called me a traitor.
Oh, is that why you shake this hand? Because it was on time?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And as far as all the members of the town council are here, present, our town manager Cliff Gravier, our assistant town manager Terry Tiemann, Molly Daisy, our clerk, and Will Wharton, our IT director. Could you stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion. to approve the
Second.
agenda.
Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on July 21st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion, changes? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is the minutes of the annual tax assessment meeting held on July 21st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The next item is approval of the minutes of the executive session held on July 21st, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
That was easy. The next item is approval of the financial report. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. This report covers the budget through July 31st, 2023. We're 33% through fiscal year 2024. On the operating revenue side, this has been a challenging summer. Lots of rain and replenishment of the beach have affected our income. That being said, to date, we have collected 54.3% of the budget compared to 56.7% last year. We should still meet the budget income. On the operating expenses side, our operating expenses are as expected. We have expended 33.9% of our budget compared to 36.1% last year. Recognizing this report is subject to audit, I respectfully move that the council accept and approve this unaudited report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. The next item is the approval of the tax adjustment list number 2 for the year. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, you have a copy of the tax adjustment list number 2 for the fiscal year 2024. There are 23 properties listed. These adjustments are a result of new construction, an addition, or remodeling to these properties. I make a motion that we accept this list as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
I see we have quite a number of new dwellings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a number. Okay, the next item on the agenda is announcement. Does anybody on council have any announcements? I believe you do, Mr. Shepley.
I do.
I intuited that. I looked at you and I said, you look like you have an announcement.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to give a short but important update on the status of our lifeguards. Unlike some of our departments, our lifeguards have been fully staffed for the majority of the summer season. But we expect the usual shortage approaching the end of the season, as many of the guards will be returning to college. We employ 65 total guards led by 1 captain, Joe Donnelly, 5 lieutenants, Matt Farlow, Mark Banks, Patrick Burns, Brendan Regan, and Ben Weiss, 3 crew chiefs, Nick Heald, Ryan Smith, and Justin Kidwell, and Matt Lewis, who oversees our junior lifeguard program. The staff consists of 14 young women, 22%, and 51 young men, 78%. The leaders are all seasoned veterans who have many years of experience. The entire staff is highly trained and dedicated to our safety. It's been a busy season so far. Our lifeguards have made 277 water rescues to date. This is about 10% more than the comparable period last year. In addition to the water rescues, they've handled 30 lieutenant emergencies. I don't think that means the lieutenants have emergencies. I think they're required at the emergency. And 13 ambulance emergencies. Same comment. Equally important, they've returned 96 lost children. Thankfully, none of them mine. 96. Last week, we competed as members of the Sussex County team at the this is a mouthful, United States Life-Saving Association National Lifeguard Championships in Virginia Beach. We qualified 15 of our guards to compete. The Sussex County team finished second in the entire nation, beating several teams that consist of year-round professional guards. Keep in mind, this is a national competition. We had 16 of our guards. They compete in multiple events, but in 16 events, our guards finished in the top 20. Of those 16, 10 of our competitors finished in the top 10, and in three events, we had first place finishers, national champions. Those national champions are the male 2K beach run, Evan Grace, won for the second year in a row. The female 4x90 run relay, Nikki Phillips, Logan Rode, Caitlin McMahon, and our very own Melanie Burns. This was the third year in a row that they have won this event. And the male 4x90 run relay, Brendan Keene, Simon Pells, Dylan McKay, and Liam Regan. You will hear a little bit about Regan in just a minute. Earlier this summer, we had the unique opportunity to celebrate the 90th anniversary of lifeguards in Bethany Beach. The current guards and the alumni joined together to share accomplishments and build relationships with the men and women who laid the foundation for our current standard of excellence. And let me finish with our Lifeguard of the Year. This year's winner, as voted on by his peers, is Liam Regan. Liam has been a guard here for 5 years. He is one of 3 brothers on our patrol. Older brother Brendan is one of our lieutenants, and younger brother Seamus is finishing his first summer with us. Believe me that Liam's accomplishments are many, and he is also a recipient of this year's Ed Dean Memorial Scholarship awarded to one lifeguard each summer who exemplifies excellence and service both on and off the job. Liam is an impressive young man, and we are proud to have him as part of our patrol. He is a senior at my alma mater, just in case you don't know, the University of Maryland. Go Terps. We are fortunate to have this talented group of young men and women serving us as we all enjoy our beautiful beach. Let's give them a well-deserved round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Shepley. I would say that earlier this week, they had the Lifeguard of the Year award ceremony up at the inlet, and the guards were there, and Mr. Shepley, Mr. Morris, Mr. Gravier, And Mrs. Tiemann and I went up there to honor them and to be with them for the ceremony. They're an incredible group of people, and it's wonderful that people show up to support them and show them that. And it's a fun event. That's the reason we go.
And these young men and women work hard.
They do.
You know, you sort of have the image of a lifeguard sitting up on the stand and getting a tan. Watch them in the morning before they go on duty. Watch them running up and down the beach. Watch them out in the water. They work hard.
You know, when they had the 90th anniversary and they had the alumni there, the alumni there for the ceremony, they were able to, in the morning, they all ran out with the lifeguards into the water. And look, it was really, you know, you hope they made it, some of them. But when you looked at their faces, you could see that they all, for being with the younger guards, and it was like they were back in their youth again. It was wonderful to see. Thank you, and I think, Mr. Califf, you wanted to say something.
I do. That's a little hard act to follow there. You might find, some of you might have seen this in the back of the room. I request and you to pick one up on your way out if you didn't. This is the new pamphlet that the Stormwater and Flood Committee's put together to, it's directed at the homeowners of Bethany Beach, and it's the way that all homeowners can help the town of Bethany Beach fight the flooding that we have. Small steps, big results. So take a look. I hope to, in the future, this we just got today, just received it today, but there's going to be more promotions going on around town this fall. We're not so much pushing it during the summer because of it's more the tourists that are here, and we're aiming toward homeowners rather than tourists. Also, I want to point out that the Stormwater and Flood Committee has a meeting coming up on the 21st of September. We will be having at that meeting Bob Collins. He is the manager of programs and facilities for the Delaware Inland Bays, Center for the Inland Bays. He will be doing a presentation on what they call their how-tos for residents of the Inland Bays, which is, again, a similar best practices, similar to what we're providing here, a little more broader because they're focused on the entire Inland Bays. So please try to come to that meeting. It's September the 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Califf. I'd just like to commend you and the members of your committee, because you've really done a fine job and put a lot of time and effort into this and having guest speakers and everything. And I think it's been a very valuable help to homeowners and to people who live here and visit. And also the Pedestrian and Bicycle Safety Committee, the same thing. You've done a brochure this year as well, and done a lot of things with the police department. So I think the two committees have been very active and very valuable to the people of Bethany Beach, so thank you. And now,
I'm clearing out.
for those of you who don't know it, this is Scott's last meeting. And we are very sad. We're trying hard not to cry. But I just wanted to invite Scott up for a minute. Here, over here. Even though you are a lot younger than us, probably by half, we're going to give out our usual plaque, which says, "Your heart won't tolerate any more town hall meetings," because you know what it's like. But I just wanted to say it's been a joy serving with Scott, and I've learned a great deal from Scott. From his perspective, he brings a different perspective. And I was thinking to myself the other day, you know, here's a guy he's cool. He sits back, nothing bothers him, everything rolls off his back. And I was trying to think, I said, you know, he's a fearless leader. And I was thinking, you know, what in his past helped form him to make him the way he is? And all I could think about was, you were a hokey bird. Now you laugh. Let me tell you about this. I've been doing a little bit of reading about it. The Hokie Bird, being a Hokie Bird is not easy. It's a Virginia Tech mascot. Okay, now, I have to think about this because it's tough to pronounce. For
I
those who
think
don't know what a Hokie Bird is, it's a large anthropomorphic turkey that has become, thanks in part to Scott, a cultural phenomenon. It has been making appearances in media, children's books, and public events. Notably, the Hokie Bird has been featured in a 2003 episode of Animal Planet. Now, it's no coincidence that Scott graduated in 2003, and he was probably the inspiration for it going onto the Animal Planet. I bet you were. Now, here in November 2019, during a turkey pardoning ceremony, the United States government formally recognized the Hokie Bird as the supreme leader of all turkeys. Now, that's an honor. That's an honor. That's an honor. And believe me, the Hokie Bird is more beloved and respected and revered at Virginia Tech than the greatest football players. And they remain, I don't know if any of you know this, but they remain anonymous until they're graduating, and then when they're graduation, they walk across the stage with the feet on, and so that's how people know who they are. But it's amazing what the internet search can turn up. And recently, I found an article from the Roanoke Times dated Saturday, May 10th, 2003, which happened to be the day that our friend Scott graduated. The article is entitled, "Virginia Tech Says Bye-Bye Birdie." 3 of the 4 Hokie Bird players graduate, and this was a big deal. And I'm sure it garnered more headlines than the graduation. Apparently, Hokie, well, I said that they remain quiet, but I'm going to quote from this because this is an article that quotes extensively from the 3 Hokie Birds, and it's very interesting. Now that you're graduating, Virginia Tech seniors Gabe Huffman, Scott Edmondson, and John King will have to kick all the nasty habits they picked up as arguably the Hokies' least known celebrities. First of all, no more picking fights on the field with rival college mascots, taunting their 300-pound football players, or purposely angering thousands of non-Hokie fans. No more tricycle riding, hokey-pokey dancing, or other acrobats while on the job. By wearing the Hokie Bird giant orange feet with their gowns, the 3 seniors followed tradition among former Tech mascots by waiting until graduation to reveal themselves as the physical soul within the fighting gobbler getup. And just in case some in the audience still didn't get it, all 3 planned to bust a few patented Hokie Bird moves while walking across the stage in their individual college graduation. And we're hoping you do some of that for us today, Scott.
Let's see the dance. Let's see the dance.
Okay, now there's just a few quotes here that I want to do from the 3 of them. And it says here, "Yeah, I think it would be a letdown for a Hokie Bird if we didn't do a dance," said Edmondson. So how does Virginia's famous turkey bird feel on graduation day? Moments such as feeling, there were just so many moments, I want to write them all down so I can remember them. Moments such as feeling 130,000 eyes watch every exaggerated move you make, or leading an undefeated football team onto hostile home field of a rival university. It's been a while. But just because being the Hokie Bird is fun doesn't mean it's easy, the 3 said. To be sure, not everyone is cut out to be the bird. First and foremost, the Hokie Bird routine involves nonstop running, jumping, falling, push-ups, and flapping of wings. All 3 seniors say they often emerge from the outfit exhausted and pounds lighter than when they suited up just a few hours earlier. The Hokie Bird also keeps long hours making appearances at both Tech and non-university events. But most of all, the Hokie Bird requires a certain mindset, not just of a performer, but of an exhibitionist, willing to stare down thousands of angry fans from the opposing team. Of course, being a Hokie Bird has its benefits. The biggest plus of all, the trio agreed, is the reaction of the crowd on first seeing the Tech mascot. When you are in the suit, you have all of the fame of a movie star, Edmondson said. Everyone is excited to see you, and everyone knows your name as Hokie Bird. And at the same time, it's cool to be able to sit in class and nobody knows who you are. I think that fearless mentality may come with wearing the suit, Edmondson said. Yet even these veteran birds, each of whom has performed for hundreds of thousands of cheering and jeering fans, admitted that their final non-anonymous performance on Friday and Saturday would be among the most daunting. To walk across the stage with the shoes on, I think that will give me more butterflies in my stomach than anything else. Several weeks ago, the 3 seniors and the 4th Hokie Bird mascot, who remains anonymous because he's returning next year, chose their successors. As they watched the new birds perform during the Tech spring football game, all 3 said they realized their rule over Lane Stadium was ending, but there were no regrets. I think I've had a great run as a mascot. I'm hanging up the feet, and I hope you feel that you've had a great run as being on the Thank you.
Should I say anything?
You can say anything, whatever you want.
Go Hokies. As long as that's how they felt at graduation too. I wasn't allowed to say anything. I had a fantastic time, both in terms of being on the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as serving on Town Council. It's been an honor. I would love to stay and run, but I realize that I'm torn a little bit between Town Council and work, and the salary's a little higher at work. Thank you, and I meant it when I first put my name in the ring my hat in the ring to join Town Council 2 years ago. That I think the town was running really smoothly without me. It didn't need me then, and it doesn't need me now, and I feel confident in that, especially with some pretty talented people running for re-election and some talented people running for election. And so thank you all for making it easy for me, and thank you all for being the best town on the planet.
Anybody want to say anything?
Mayor, I've noticed that we have at least one other Virginia Tech alum in the audience. That makes 2 of them. There may be more. We usually do this to rookies, but I think it might be appropriate in Scott's last meeting. I think they should get up and sing a duet of the Virginia Tech fight song. Sherwin? Scott?
Yeah,
I knew it.
I'll give you a hokey high tech BPI. There you go. That's all you need.
Mayor, I'd just like to, echo some of the things you said about Scott. I had a pleasure working with him, and I think we all have. And the thing I want to add is there are many a time, because we both walk our dogs early in the morning, where poor Scott's walking his dog in his own, he's got his, obviously, Virginia Tech hat on always. And then Mickey comes up to him and says, Mickey, Scott, I got a question about this. Help me with this. And you could just sort of see the look in his eyes. Oh, no, Mickey again. But it's really been a pleasure, Scott. And, we know where you live, so we're going to reach out and get your help all along. So
I won't be a stranger.
No.
Yeah, I want to join. I'm one of those dog walkers out there too. So we've met many times out, as I've met with Mickey out there, usually in the morning, sometimes in the evening. But Scott, definitely, you're going to be missed. You have a very unique, helpful view of things that can throw new lights on issues that are before the town council. It's been very refreshing. It's been wonderful. We're going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you. I should also point out that if you see me walking the dog and I move to the other side of the street. It's not because I don't want to talk to you. It's because my dog is aggressively happy. And you may not want that greeting at that moment. But if you're open to it, you're going to get it.
Okay. And we're not letting you off the hook either. We know where you live.
I'll be here.
I
Make
know.
sure you cut your driveway.
Okay, now we have reports. We have a report from, I'm sorry, does anybody in the audience have any announcement? Mr. Gong.
John Gahn, 676 Collins Street. Madam Mayor, I have two things. One, at the request of the chairman of the Planning Commission, we want to add our public comments for Scott's involvement with us as the liaison. He was on the Planning Commission, and his views and insights were so helpful as we particularly worked through on the 10-year plan. So on behalf of the entire Planning and Zoning Commission, thank you, Scott. Now I have a personal question. Periodically, we will have an agenda item that says approval of minutes of executive sessions without any elaboration. And I would just like to ask the council to consider the possibility of elucidating on what goes on, what individually goes on in those executive sessions, so that the rest of the community understands what you were dealing with, recognizing that there are restrictions and all, but it would be helpful to know what were the items rather than just approval of an executive session without any elaboration. Thank you.
I'll do. Oh.
Mr. Gahn, executive sessions are provided for under the Freedom of Information Act for executive legislative groups like the Town Council to deal with certain things, be they personnel matters and/or certain pieces or types of litigation that ought not to be discussed or revealed to the public at any specific time. The information isn't accessible even through a FOIA request, again, dealing with maybe a personnel item, discipline issue internal with personnel, sometimes contractual negotiations that don't need to be made public, and there's a list of those things. Generally, when the notice is posted, it will tell you it's regarding personnel issues, contractual issues, and that sort of thing, and they'll all be within the categories allowed by law. But the council, during an executive session, is advised by the mayor that the things that are spoken about in the session stay in the session. And I'm afraid we can't elaborate more, even if we wanted to.
I think one of the things that we had in executive session to begin with, for example, on a different subject, was when we were in negotiations with Mr. Walczek to purchase his property, and our attorneys were meeting with his attorneys and going back and forth. But then once that was settled and it looked like we were coming to agreement, something like that goes public. But for the things dealing with personnel matters, they stay, yeah. And that's generally what we deal with.
I would add that this is information that we pass back and we discuss amongst the council. Again, it's normally very confidential. However, if it's not confidential, we do go back into session, and if there's something to be voted on, because you can't vote in an executive session, we will vote in a council meeting that is open to the public.
Is that okay, Mr. Gong? Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll go to the report section now. The first item on the agenda is a report from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Committee. Mr. Hinman.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to give an update on our work. As always, I always like to start with the people who make this happen. There's a group of people that literally have been meeting since the beginning of the year, almost every month, to work on this initiative around pedestrian and bicycle safety. Those names are listed. A couple additional highlights we want to share today are Faith Denault, who's a former council member, the original leader of the Pedestrian and Bicycle Safety Committee, is retiring from that role. So we wanted to give her special thanks. We're going to try to do that as a committee as well coming up. And we had a new member that joined us last month, Art Diver. And again, these folks work really, really hard. They put a lot of time and energy into the effort, and I'm just so proud and honored to be able to get a chance to work with them. Just a little bit of our summary of our last meeting. These are just some highlights. Mayor Hardeman talked about the results of the proposal we made to DelDOT along with the other communities, basically Bethany South to South Bethany, around lowering the speed limit on 1 from 35 to 30. That was not approved. But they did suggest, in addition, in regard to our request around Route 26, was to partner with Ocean View and Millview. So we're working on doing that. So maybe get some result there in terms of lowering the speed limit from 35 to 30. We had a guest speaker from he was the president of the Sussex Cyclists, John Kirpjoweet. I met him before, actually at the event earlier in the year, and Teresa reached out and made a connect. He really gave us a very informed perspective, a lot of passion about riding safely. That's their the Sussex Cyclist mission, and some good pointers. So it was really helpful to get his perspective, and we'll probably have him back at some point. We're continuing to work on the various WAVE initiatives. That's watch, assess, verify, and enter before people enter cars, bikes, vehicles enter intersections and the like. Talk a little bit more about that and some future steps. So this is not an eye test. I just wanted to share with you a little bit. And this doesn't really capture all of it. There's a lot of work that's been going on with the team throughout the summer. Actually, early part of the summer, both meeting with community organizations, engaging with the public, as well as the bike safety checkpoints and the like that you're aware of. So we have a lot of that going on where we're trying to reach out and engage people in a way to raise their awareness, right, around the risk and how to manage those in a safe way so that we avert any kind of hurt, pain, and suffering. That's really what the challenge of this team's about. So we still have some work to do this year, and we'll be working on developing this for next year. The other thing we started to do, which was really exciting, and this was really cool because we got a lot of participation from the members of the community have come out. I mean, we've literally had almost 10 people, community members at our meetings, which is great. But we just wanted to sort of think forward in terms of where we're going as a team. We're starting to wrap up this year, but where do we want to go? And we just sort of laid out some ideas in terms of, what do we want to continue to focus on? What could be some new initiatives? Maybe some ways using data analysis to enhance our perspectives, and also think about infrastructure projects, et cetera. We opened that up to the team first, and then opened it up to the community. So this is just a first list. We actually have, I think, 3 pages now, so I just wanted to give you a thought. And these are unedited. These are literally what people said. We put them up on the board. What we're going to be doing at our next meeting, which is on Thursday the 14th, we'll always get an update from the town leadership, but we want to spend a little bit of time reflecting on this year, thinking about what worked well, what are some opportunities going forward, what could we do better. But then we want to go into and think about these ideas that have been generated around the what's next, and review, try to maybe group some like things together, create some priorities. And our good friend Chris Weitzer will generate a new spreadsheet, so we'll have that to follow. But again, a lot of good stuff going on, and I want to just again thank the community for all the time and input. Yeah, thank you.
Any questions? Anyone? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Hinman, and congratulations on a great job. There is no report from the 4th of July Parade Committee this month. The next is a report from the Budget and Finance Committee. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee met yesterday for a final review of the year 2023 and to review the first quarter of the current fiscal year and discuss the town's financial balance policy. Fiscal year 2023 ended in March with a town-wide revenues of 12% over the budget. These were mainly from 3 points of revenue: transfer taxes, rental taxes, and building permits. The town budgets a conservative amount for these revenues, which can vary widely from year to year, so we do not want to rely overly dependent on these items. The town operating cost ended 1% under budget. This was another good financial year for the town. The results of the first quarter, excuse me, the current showed a revenues 3% higher than the prior year because of fees and tax increases that took place. Operating expenses were 7% higher than the first quarter of last year due to budgeted items, including purchasing of parking equipment, an additional police officer, and the aerial mapping project. Overall, 2024 revenue is projected to surpass the amount budgeted, and expenses should be a bit less than budget. This is expected. The town's financial balance policy has been in place since 2010 and was last updated on 2016 and is due for review. Our focus in this meeting was whether the policy should recommend a larger capital reserve for the water fund, since construction costs have increased significantly and many of our town assets are more than 40 years old. The committee will decide at the next meeting if it will recommend to the town council to approve an updated policy. The next meeting will be held on October 19th at 10 a.m., and you're all invited. That's my report.
Any questions? No? Anyone? Okay, thank you. And then next on the agenda is a report from the town manager, Mr. Gravier.
Mayor, thank you. Mr. Shepley mentioned earlier that the guards had been engaged in 10% more rescues than last year, and I would note that happened during a portion of the summer when most of the beach was closed, or a large portion of the beach was closed. So that's really a large number, larger than you would think, given the fact that so much of the beach was has been closed during the summer. He also mentioned Melanie Burns as being part of the relay team that won the nationals. Melanie, and for Bethany Beach and for the organization here in Lower Delaware. But Melanie's a full-time employee. She's our fiscal assistant director. She won and participated in that with a broken wrist, and you can see her right out behind the receptionist window right now when you leave. So kudos to her. She guards on the weekends and an occasional extra day off during the summer. Still very active in it and really loves it, but a tribute to a heck of a work ethic, and she certainly has that. So we're talking about the beach, guards. Replenishment has been over for some time, and I'm sure a number of people have wondered why we have not replaced the Moby mats in the area where the beach was replenished. We have not been allowed to do that pending a final sign-off by the state of Delaware and a walkthrough with the Corps. That occurred today, and beginning next week, Moby mats will be installed in the area of the beach that has been replenished. I'm sure many of you have seen the area behind the snow fence, between the toe of the dune and the snow fence, that's open. The Corps, I mentioned this I think in our last council meeting, the Corps sets the template, designs the template for beach replenishment. The Corps determines where sand goes, the design of the dune. They do that without input. They do that based on generally dollars involved, dollars available, timing of the project, and the number of different communities involved. Because this is the first replenishment that really affected the entire Delaware coast and all the coastal towns, there were, I won't say corners cut, but I think there were some attempts to make some savings throughout the project in every municipality. One of those was not restoring the dune to the tow line, and the tow line is where the snow fence is today. So you'll see the fence, you'll see the bump outs in the fence, and that was the tow line of the major replenishment we had a number of years ago. I've wondered, we've asked what they're going to do in it besides allow people to play ball back there, and they've come back to tell us that they're going to plant beach grass in that area when they do beach grass planting in October, when it's seasonal and when the grass will take. So that's their plan. We hope that works and doesn't create more problems for us going forward, for the guards and for our code enforcement people next year with that large open area as the beach becomes smaller. We, in response to a number of issues we had on the beach here recently, large groups that we had some issues actually controlling, we decided, I think it was the mayor's idea, to put lights on the beach. And with the lights, we've added cornhole and volleyball. And that's ended up being a win-win for everyone involved. We've given the young people in the area a larger area to disperse in. We don't have the crowds. We don't have the disorderly conducts that we were experiencing here before the lights. Families love it. People, even if they're not playing cornhole or volleyball, will play catch. I think it's been a positive for the community, and again, something that keeps us the quiet resort and helps us with our family-friendly image. Mosquito control. We've had a number of complaints, and we're experiencing more mosquito bloom here this summer because of the frequent thunderstorms. And with the thunderstorms, depending on the intensity of the rain, we end up with more pooling and more mosquitoes. We routinely spray for mosquitoes. We spread larvicide throughout the town in all the problem areas that we know we have. That's effective in dealing with our residential mosquitoes, but all the thousands of fly-ins are not affected by that. So it's not as effective as we would like, but I think it's as good as we can do with the situation as it exists. Our election is coming up. It will be September 9th. The polling place is here in Town Hall. The doors are open for polling for the election between noon and 6 o'clock. This year, in an attempt to make voting even more accessible, we, in our newsletter, which hits about 2,200 different people, along with the people that subscribe to our email list, we made voting electronically available, but you can request your absentee ballot right online, fill it out online, and submit it. So far, about 30 or 40 people have taken advantage of that. And if you didn't see the news flash or didn't get that email, if you go to our homepage, you'll find that on the homepage, the information about that on the homepage. You can come into Town Hall Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and request an absentee ballot, pick it up and fill it out. You can also on Saturday the 19th and Saturday the 26th, between 8 and 2, come to Town Hall and pick up an absentee ballot. And also on Saturday, September 2nd, between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Candidates Night will be the 25th, next Friday. Doors will open here at 6:30. I encourage anybody that has an interest in town issues and what's happening and the people that want to represent you to attend that. And if you can't attend personally, it will be available at 2 streaming sites, and those streaming sites are also listed on our homepage. And Scott, I will miss you because it's been nice having somebody more my age on council. So.
I'll miss you too, Cliff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gravier. Any questions? Anyone have any questions? Okay.
All right, we're going into the new business part of our meeting. First one is an ordinance to amend Chapter 301, Smoking Outdoors, Section 1, definitions of the Bethany Beach Town Code by deleting the words tobacco, herbs, weeds, marijuana, etc. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kilmer. The Section 301 addresses smoking outdoors and prohibits smoking in certain places like the playgrounds and different areas like that. And it also, unfortunately, there are exceptions in there. So, for example, people are allowed to smoke on the beach except from May 15th to September 15th, when they can only smoke in designated places. But what happened with this definition of smoking, which included marijuana, is that if you say then smoking is prohibited in these areas, but you can smoke in designated areas during these times of the year, it inadvertently says that smoking marijuana in public places is permitted when it is not permitted by the state of Delaware. It has it in the new law that came out they prohibited it in public places or places that are accessible by the public. So we overlooked the fact that we had this permission in there all these years, and so we were just trying to rectify it by taking out the parentheses and just letting it say smoking and not giving examples. So this is the second reading, and so because it's the second reading, and we have oh no, we haven't received on this one. This is the second reading, so that I move that we amend Chapter 301, Smoking Outdoors, Section 1, definition of the Bethany Beach Town Code by deleting the words tobacco, herbs, weed, and marijuana from the definition.
Second.
Fourth.
Fourth?
All in favor of,
Any discussion?
Any discussion? Any discussion?
oh, I'm sorry, any discussion? Anyone in the audience have any comments to make before we vote? All right, with that being said, and this is the second reading, all in favor of this ordinance to amend Chapter 301, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Mayor, the next item, this is also a second reading, an ordinance adding Chapter 218, regulating the production and sale of marijuana in the town of Bethany Beach. Mayor.
Thank you. As you know, the Delaware Marijuana Control Act was passed earlier this year. And in that law, it allows municipalities by ordinance or referendum to prohibit the growing, manufacture, testing, or sale of marijuana businesses within its borders. And so that's what this ordinance is about, and it's the second reading. We put out a notice in the newsletter a couple of weeks ago, and there were 25 commenters who wrote in supporting the ordinance, and there were 2 who were opposed to it. If anyone thinks that, there are some people, I think, who think that that if we allowed the retail sale within Bethany Beach, we would somehow benefit financially, and there's nothing in the law that allows that. All the tax revenue goes to the state, and it is apportioned according to what is provided in the law, and whatever is not apportioned, the General Assembly gets to do that task by voting each year. So it wouldn't provide any financial benefit to the municipality, if anyone was thinking that. So with that, I move that we adopt and add Chapter 218, regulating the production and sale of marijuana in the town of Bethany Beach, to the town code.
Does anyone in council have any questions or comments? Oh,
Second.
I'm sorry, second. Now, does anybody in the council have any comments? Anyone in the audience wish to comment regarding this issue? Would you please come to the podium?
Yes.
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 We wouldn't license any business to grow, to test, or to sell.
I mean, an individual
Individual?
growing for their own benefit?
Do you want to do that?
What do you have in mind, Chris? What do you have in mind? You have something in the backyard?
I don't think so. I don't know.
No, it's illegal.
So it's illegal, yeah.
No, nothing has changed there. No.
It has to be a licensed facility. Yeah. And they're only issuing a certain number of licenses throughout the state,
Yeah.
the whole state. So I would be very, and especially for retail sales, I would be very surprised if they ever picked a place like Bethany Beach. We have the 35th lowest population when you look at Wilmington and every other area. So.
All right. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. The next item on the agenda, discussion, consideration, and possible vote on the resolution to approve the 2023 comprehensive plan. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kilmer. As you know, this has been over 2.5 years ago, our wonderful Planning and Zoning Commission started reviewing the and updating the comprehensive plan, and Scott has been a big part of that as well. And we have some of the commissioners here in the audience. We have Mike Boswell, who was the chair, John Gong, who was the vice chair. We have Kathy Shorter, and we have Diane Fogash. And the other member of the committee is Mark Birnbauer, and he's not here today. I believe that's everybody, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, they did an excellent job over the period of 2.5 years. They held about 19 meetings that were open to the public, soliciting feedback. Town council and the commission had joint workshops where we reviewed each of the chapters. We engaged the services of the University of Delaware, their IPA program. They have a great deal of expertise in this area to be able to help us with updating maps and making sure that we had everything that was necessary so that we could present it for state approval. Back in the end of June, Mrs. Tiemann and I went up to the PLUS review, which is the review by the state, and Mr. Boswell participated by Zoom. And in that process, the state, each of the agencies of the state is there, those who wish to be there, and they ask questions and clarifications, and they give you their feedback on the plan. And all of the agencies who were represented there complimented the plan. None of them had any real problem with it. The woman who was from the PLUS review did say that there were a couple of things she wanted to submit to us because we needed them in order to have certification by the state and by the governor. And so the woman from DENREC was there, and she said that she had reviewed it, but she didn't have any problems with it, but unfortunately, the rest of her agency hadn't looked at it. And so when we received comments the end of July, there were several comments that were submitted by DENREC, and some of them left us with the impression that they really hadn't reviewed the plan, that they were just providing boilerplate that they had provided for other plans. And to go back and look at each of those recommendations would have been time-consuming, and especially to rewrite it in the way that it looked like that they wanted it. The problem is that we're coming up against a deadline. Some of those recommendations are worthy of consideration, and we will be looking at those as we go on, looking at the various sections of the comprehensive plan. However, we felt it, given the time constraints, that it would be best to go with the items that were required for certification, and basically they were very minor. They wanted us to specifically have the comments that were submitted by the various jurisdictions that we shared our plan with. We shared it with Sussex County, with Ocean View, Millville, and South Bethany, and none of them had any comments or objections to it. So they started something new where you have to include the letters from them in the back of the comprehensive plan, and that's what we'll be doing. They also asked us to add any meetings we held after the PLUS hearing to the thing. So Terry, Mrs. Tiemann, and together with BJ, the man from the IPA who was helping us, went through it. And in the version that appears online, the latest version, Chapter 1, highlighted in yellow, are the additions that were made to it. And they are very minor, as you can see. But we will be taking some of the DENREC things into consideration as we move forward. We don't want to dismiss any of them because there could be things in there that are very helpful. So with that, the next steps are to the council pass an ordinance to adopt the plan pending approval by the governor. So what will happen will be now that if we pass that ordinance today, adopting the plan, that it will go forward to the people from the state, and they will submit it to the governor along with their recommendation. And then upon approval by the governor, it will become final and it will become law. So with that, I move that we approve the ordinance adopting the 2023 comprehensive plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Yes.
Just to add to some stuff that the mayor just said, it's been a long time coming. Lou was still our liaison to the Planning
yes.
and Zoning Commission when we started it, so he put a lot of work into it, as well as building the foundation of what the whole thing is written on from years and years past. Terry, Molly, Will, Brian, they've all sat through our hearings, enjoyed every minute of those hearings. John Apple was still here when we started it, and we
That's
really
true.
couldn't have done it without you, Rosemary. I know you stepped in and helped a lot over the last 6 or 8 months getting it over the finish line. So there's a lot of hard work went into it, and I'm grateful for all of it. And didn't help very much, but everybody else on the Planning and Zoning Commission really made it happen.
Yes, you did. You used your hokey bird thing with pushing us on, saying, you guys are doing a great
Yeah.
job, keep it up.
I'm on the Spirit Squad. I'm really good at that.
Does anyone in the audience have any comments about the comprehensive plan? Yes, please come to the mic.
Mike Boswell, 401 Lakites Avenue. On behalf of the Planning Commission, I would like to also thank the council for all the work they did and all the help they provided us, as well as the staff of the town. I'll point out that he did shuffle us right through that whole plan, so the bird was there. He was flying for us. And I would also like to thank Lou. Lou is the basis. He's our 10-year plan guy, the first one I ever did.
Thank you.
12 years ago, or whatever it was, a long time ago. Lou hustled that through, and I must say that is still the basis for the plan that is going to be sent forward to the state for the governor for approval. So with that, Lou, without your help,
Thank you.
yeah, we'd be farther back than we were. I also would like to thank Rosemary. She took the bull by the horns and really helped push this thing through and get us moving. The commissioners, they did a fine job, and as Rosemary and Lou can attest, if you're the chairman of something, you have the easiest job there is, because you can just sit there and either delegate and say yes, and you have the last vote on anything. So you see which way the wind's blowing. But all in all, it was a very fun experience. Again, probably be my last 10-year plan review or approval. But,
Aren't you feeling well?
Pardon? See, I can't even hear
I
it.
said, aren't you feeling well? That's your last
Yeah,
10-year plan.
I'm feeling great, right? So, again, just thank everybody that was involved in this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boswell. I would also like to add, I think that, and Lou, you did, behind the scenes, you were our guiding light, so thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to say the office directors did a lot of good. And I also want to say that one person who stays behind the scenes and doesn't take credit for anything but pushes everybody else out is Cliff Bravier.
Absolutely.
And he did an excellent job. People don't realize that he reviewed that comprehensive plan and offered his suggestions quietly. And so thank you too, Cliff.
Quietly?
You're welcome, Mayor, but you know you had a gun to my head to do that, so.
You say quietly?
All right, any other comments?
Yeah, one
Yes.
One comment, small but maybe necessary. I noticed in the yellow, that's the new comments addressing those of the state.
What page?
Well, it would be page 3. One of their main concerns is public involvement, and maybe it might be good to add in the last sentence of that paragraph, it says, after addressing the certification concerns, maybe something like after, because we had a number of public hearings and workshops, maybe mention we had the public hearings and the workshops.
Right here.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
Which would more address their concerns of public involvement.
Right, and I think that yellow one was what was added. The paragraph before it goes into some of the meetings that were held over the years.
Okay.
Yeah, but we will take a look at that. Mrs. Teeman can take a look at that and see. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you count the number of, and you want to count your planning commission meetings as a public meeting, the number's incredible.
Yes,
The public vetting the plan has had,
and they are public meetings.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to tape over this thing and say my heart can't take any more planning and zoning comprehensive plan meetings.
All right, any other comments, questions? Anyone in the audience, final chance? All right, the motion has been made and seconded about the approval of the 2023 comprehensive plan for the town of Bedford Beach. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. All right, next item on the agenda, discussion, consideration, and possible vote to appoint Pamela Miller to serve as an election judge for the September 9th, 2023 Town Council election. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kilmer. We had, back in June, we appointed the people to the election board and election board. And since then, one of the members that we appointed has realized that she will not be able to do that. So Pam Miller, we asked her, and she was very gracious. She, at the last minute, she said certainly she would do it. She does a lot of the work too on the national and state elections, so she's very familiar with you know, how it works. As a matter of fact, she might get bored. It's not as exciting. But anyway, I would like to nominate the Pam Miller to fill that vacancy on the commission,
Do we have a second?
on the board.
Any comments, questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, on the item agenda, discussion, consideration, and possible vote to appoint Greg Rinker, Pat Moran, Rick Moran to serve as election officers for the September 9th, 2023 Town Council election. Mayor.
Thank you. There are only two people who are doing all the work on that board, and that is Chris Armula and Charlie McMullen. And because there's so much involved in it, and also to give people a break during this long day, Mr. McMullen asked if we would add these three people to that. And so, for that reason, I propose that we accept that and to appoint Greg Rinker, Pat Moran, and Rick Moran to serve as election officers for the September 9th, 2023 Town Council election.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, I move.
All right, second? Second. All right, any questions, comments? Any of the audience have any comments or questions regarding this issue? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Next item on the agenda, discussion, consideration, and possible vote on canceling the September 15th, 2023 regular town council meeting. Mayor.
Okay. This is the final item. At the June meeting, we voted to have our council organization meeting on Monday, September 18th, at 10 a.m., and that is typically what we do. It can't be held any sooner than 7 days after the election, so the second Monday following the election is the day we usually hold it. And because of that, we will be canceling, the motion is to cancel the September 15th regular council meeting. And that doesn't mean if something emergency comes up, we wouldn't have to schedule a meeting, but in the meantime, we are just going to, I make a motion that we cancel the September 15th regular council meeting in view of the fact that we're holding our organizational meeting on September 18th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further comment? This is something we do on
Every
almost
year,
every
yeah.
year, so it's not unique from that point.
Right.
It is the last opportunity to get together and say nice stuff about me, you know, if we want to leave it on the, no?
Anyone in the audience,
That's over, that's a one and done.
Don't push your luck.
anyone in the audience have any comment regarding this issue? No? All right. A motion's been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Scott? Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
The final item is, oh, we did that.
That is it.
Sorry.
Oh, we didn't adjourn.
We didn't adjourn yet.
Are you going to adjourn the meeting?
Since there's no other business, do we have a meeting to, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Good job. Your last, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Thank you very much,
You
everyone.
got it in there.
I'm gonna have a picture taken now.
Picture.
Cliff, are we gonna have a picture taken?
Yes.